In the drawing room, a group of suspects gathered. The detective has solved the mystery.
Ladies and gentlemen, the butler did it.
You'll never catch me.
The butler darted to his getaway car. But what he didn't know is this is a Nissan sales event ad.
Wait, what?
And his car is no match for the detective's Nissan Rogue or its standard VC turbo engine. Save on one of your own at the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event.
Get a low $299 per month lease on Rogue. Availability is limited. Shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today. For well-qualified customers, subject to NMAC credit approval, take from new dealer stock. See dealer for financing details. $39.69 initial payment for 36 months on 2023 Rogue S all-wheel drive. Excludes tax, title, license, and $650 acquisition fee. Disposition fee due at lease end. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details. Ends 4/3/23.
Good morning and welcome to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. I'm Adam,
And I'm Josie.
and this is the first episode with the new computer-aided production tool. I have a Stream Deck, which is now
I
invisible.
can't see it.
It's invisible because of my virtual background. It's a Stream Deck.
It's cool looking.
Yeah, it's got a bunch
Do
of
you
buttons
like
on
it?
Yeah, it's got a bunch of buttons on it that make my life a little bit easier.
Like
Um,
what?
I can mute my microphone. I can turn my camera on and off. I can start the recording. It's got a timer, so that way I know how long we've been going.
And
Um,
does it do like any bleeping? Or like can you add some sounds to it?
I have some sounds on it. I don't know if it'll play through. Let's find out. Did that play through or no?
No, I didn't hear any of it.
Okay, so I played a record scratch noise. I guess it doesn't work through. I gotta figure that out. Yeah, and I also have a laugh track, which if it only is playing on my headphones, it doesn't help anyone but me. So there's a laugh track button on here too.
Oh.
But yeah, I got a gift card for Best Buy for Christmas. So when Peter and I recorded the the year in review episode, we went like 2.5 hours recording, and I couldn't reach the button to pause to mute my mic, so I didn't drink anything for 2.5 hours. So I got this, and now I can just press the button on here and it mutes my microphone.
Oh,
So that was a good use of $40.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So last week we were going to do this episode, but I had a death in the family, so I was busy last weekend. Josie was not feeling well on the day we were going to record. So I put up, do you remember in 2016, just after New Year, we did a bonus episode of 30-minute reviews about The Force Awakens? Because Peter and I went and did the Beware of Spoilers, because we were still living together at the time, and we went and did the Beware of Spoilers, and then you couldn't be on because you were busy that day, so we did, I think you were still living on the other side of the country, so the time didn't line up, was part of the issue, because we went like at 6 o'clock on Thursday, so I think it was just mathematically impossible for you to see it. So we went early and then did our thing, and then me and you did one after about how much you hated the Force Awakens.
Oh,
Yeah, the opening thing of it is like we introduce ourselves, and then you cut me off and go, and today we're going to talk about the giant piece of shit that was the Force Awakens.
that doesn't sound like me at all.
Go back and listen to the episode. It's so
I don't believe you.
So yes, that is where it was. So do anything interesting in the last few weeks before we get into Kenobi?
I mean, nothing relevant to Star Wars.
I mean, very little is relevant to Star Wars these days.
I've just been recovering from being very sick. I think I had the flu that was going around. Not the COVID, but whatever flu was out.
I had the stomach bug, which was not fun.
But I'm finally feeling like
Very few things make
much
you
better.
question your life decisions, like throwing up in a Target bathroom.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's
Here you go. I once threw up in a Denny's bathroom.
that makes sense though, because Denny's is not exactly it's
I
like a step
was
above Waffle House.
I had gone out drinking with family and friends the night before to celebrate my cousin's 30th birthday. And then we went to Denny's in the morning, and I was still drunk. So I said some really, really like inappropriate shit. And then
Like
I
we're gonna talk
went
about
to
the piece of shit that was The Force Awakens.
probably really, it was so intense. It was like I looked like I was dying. Um, and I didn't realize that I was still drunk, and I just thought that I was really hungover, but then I was still slurring my words and everything. So I said, I ate like 2 bites of toast, and I said, I don't feel good. And then I ran to the bathroom, and then I barfed in the Denny's bathroom.
Yeah, I got a stomach bug and I was at work and I was feeling fine, then all of a sudden it kind of just hit me. So I said to my boss, like, I have to go to City MD to see what's going on. So I went to urgent care and they were like, I got there, I signed in, and then I went and like, oh, you have a stomach virus, we can give you an anti-nausea. So I go to Target because Target has CVS in it to pick up my prescription, and I'm in there, and this woman at the fucking counter is taking her sweet ass time, and it's like you see me buying like enough Gatorade to like I'm either hosting a little league team or I'm very seriously ill, and the anti-nausea medication should probably indicate which it is. And she's taking her time ringing it up, and it's like I pay for the stuff. I'm like, can you just hold this one for 1 second right here? And I ran to the bathroom, threw up, and in the process pulled several muscles in my chest, which is one of those
Oh,
indications that like you're a little out of shape. Um,
oh, you think you pulled muscles because you were so out of shape and you're barfing? You don't think it was just like that horrible?
I mean, it could have been that too, but like it's like it wasn't as bad at the time I went to the doctor for a physical, and like the doctor comes in after making me sit there for 45 minutes, and she looks at me and goes, "You got to lose weight," and I'm like, "Do you want to put me on a scale before you say that, or do you want to like get a number to this, not just like hey lard ass, get it together."
I laugh because yeah, me too.
like like yeah, I know. I'm here because I need to get a shot or something. I don't need you to berate me for being
Right,
fat. I understand this. Like,
right,
or at least if you're gonna say that, weigh me first and then be like, oh, not just like sashay in and you're like, hey, chubby, get it together. Like,
right. I'm here because I have a sore throat and I think
yeah.
I have strep. You better lose weight. Oh, that's not gonna make the strep go
Yeah,
away.
but the thing is too, it's like that's the thing. It's like anytime, like you hear that a lot, where it's like if you go to the doctor for something else, it's like, well, you do need to lose weight. And it's like, yeah, that's not relevant to what I have though.
Yes.
Like,
Could you just
can we solve
prescribe
the
me
issue
the
at hand?
antibiotics?
Yeah,
Like,
can we
let's get
solve the
this
issue at
done.
hand? Like, I have strep. What is that relevant for?
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it's been fun. I did
Weight
it
loss
is
cures everything.
yeah, exactly. It
Yes.
I did see something tangentially Star Wars related.
Mm-hmm.
I did see Daisy Ridley's new movie. Because it
Daisy
did
Ridley.
she plays Rey.
What was her new movie?
Sometimes I think about dying. It just debuted at Sundance this week, and I saw a screening out of the Sundance Film Festival. She's actually a pretty good actress. I know saying that sounds very condescending, but like I think that she just got some bad directors on Star Wars, because like when you think about Star Wars, you don't think about her performance, but she plays this girl with like severe social anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and is just like very withdrawn and just like this like the epitome of loneliness, and she does it so well, and she does a really good American actor accent too.
Does she?
Yeah, because she's playing, she's like upstate New York, but she's doing an American accent, and she does it pretty well.
Is it
Um,
streaming or is this something you have to go see in theaters?
it it's I think it's streaming until tomorrow, but you have to pay
Where's
to
it
stream it
streaming?
through the Sundance app because it's at the Sundance Film Festival right now. It hasn't been
Oh,
acquired by a distributor yet because it's an independent film, but
oh.
it's pretty cool. I
Hmm.
think it will get picked up probably. If I were to venture a guess, I'd say maybe
Looks like something HBO would be interested in.
I think if anyone's, I think Neon could pick it up.
Or
Neon could pick it up
Prime.
for a limited. I could see Amazon too, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Um, so before we get into Kenobi as well, we'd like to talk about other Star Wars things that are going on. So we haven't addressed this yet, which is weird for a Star Wars show because it seems like every other Star Wars show on the internet has a running clock to Kathleen Kennedy's retirement. Kathleen Kennedy being the head of Lucasfilm, who is the subject of vitriolate near constantly from sources on the internet. Um, I'm more indifferent to her as the head of Lucasfilm. There have been some good choices. There have been some bad choices. I think that some of the good have outweighed some of the bad, and you can't sit here and act like, well, the sequels and their failures are 100% her fault, but the like Rogue One, and Andor and all of the other stuff on Disney Plus is 100% because of everyone else around her, not her. You can't have
Mhm.
it both ways. But the woman is in her 70s. Her contract is up at the end of this year, or in this year at some point. And likely her contract will not be extended because, again, she's in her 70s. Um, and not only that, she also was a producer on, Star Wars, as all the sequel trilogy movies. So she did residuals on that. She was a producer on Back to the Future, the Goonies, basically anything Amblin created in the late 80s and 90s, so like Jurassic Park and things like that. So she like the term like golden parachute doesn't really apply. It's more of like a platinum parachute that she gets if she retires, in
Mhm.
terms of all the money she gets, just in terms of just it's gonna come to her mailbox because it's just they're running Jurassic Park on FX this week.
Mhm.
Um, so the question is, um, who would you want to replace her as the studio head at Lucasfilm?
I don't know.
All of that intro. Why the fuck are you asking me?
I don't know. I don't know who people are. You tell me, teach me a thing.
Well, because there are a few names that are being floated, and I think that one of the names that's being floated is getting a little more traction now because of James Gunn at DC. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are the two names that are being floated a lot because they're behind The Mandalorian, they're behind all the animated crap, um, and all that kind of stuff. So they're the names that are being floated openly,
Okay.
by the quote unquote fan groups that are anti her. Um, and I think that the issue with Lucasfilm is not necessarily the handling of Star Wars, but the fact that they have if you look at Disney's other subsidiaries, they're all a constant content mill. Like there's constantly something coming out from Marvel. There's always a
Mhm.
comic book somewhere. There's always, they release novels of their characters. They release, you know, constant merchandise. They have, there's almost always a TV show of some kind, be it animated, be it there's Marvel always has something coming out. Disney
Yeah.
animation always has something coming out. Disney live action has 4 movies a year, give or
Mhm.
take. Um, Lucasfilm doesn't have that. Lucasfilm kind of falls behind. This year, when Indiana Jones comes out, it's Lucasfilm's first theatrical offering since Rise of Skywalker. I think that whoever's in charge of Lucasfilm, if it was me, I would turn Lucasfilm into like Asimov magazine, which is it's a science fiction magazine that's like quarterly or 6 times a year, bi-monthly, as some call it. Um, and they it's a science fiction anthology magazine. So people will write science fiction short stories and they'll publish them through there. So like Ted Chiang and Ken Liu and all of these other huge names in science fiction will write their short stories for this magazine. I think Lucasfilm should do that and option a bunch of science fiction stuff and produce that and turn Lucasfilm into we're not just a Star Wars studio, we are the preeminent science fiction studio that's going to make these $200 million science fiction movies.
So come out of the Star Wars universe?
I think move beyond Star Wars and Willow and Indiana Jones, because those are 3 big IPs.
Oh, okay.
So I would be like, I would option like they optioned at one point Children of Blood and Bone, which was um a huge book that came out, a huge YA book a few years ago, about magic, and it was set in like I think it was set in like Africa, or like a fantasy version of Africa. They optioned it and then let the option lapse, and then Paramount got it. And I'm like, well, you need to start doing other shit, because obviously you can keep doing Star Wars, but it's diminishing returns. You need to have more in your arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they have that. So I think optioning more and more stuff and being like, look, we'll develop, these movies and do it in a ranges of budgets to try and, make a return. I think that that's a better way to do it than just being like, well, what can we do that's Star Wars related? Because at the end of the day, you can keep going back to what they've been doing, which is a lot of just hanging around the original trilogy era. But the issue is you can only do that for so long.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I would certainly like to see more stuff in the Star Wars universe. I mean, there's so much more to it. Um, I mean, especially, well, they've thrown away like all of the things from um movie 6 and on that used to be canon. They've thrown all that away so that way it's not. But there's still a lot that is prior to the movies that we have right now that is still considered canon. So like they could go down the Darth Bane, the Darth Revan, like,
Well,
or
I think
even
the issue
Jedi
is
Revan.
they're concerned. I think that like that's why the Acolyte's going to be such a big test for them, because the Acolyte is High Republic era, which is about 100 years before Skywalker saga.
But that's still not that much more before. I mean,
No,
there's
it's not.
so much.
Because like that's the thing, is like you look at the timeline, it's like 10,000 years
Mm-hmm.
is the earliest book, is the farthest back it goes, and it's like they could do that. I think that
I mean, I
the
would love to see like a TV show or a movie series or something about Darth Revan and like Mandalore and becoming Mandalorian
I
or
think
the Mandalore.
what I would like to see before we get further back is I want to see them take a big swing on prequel or sequel era.
They've already done it.
No. I mean like in like with what they're doing on Disney Plus, where it's like I'll say that like the Disney Plus era, quote unquote, where we are now, where we're in an era that's after the sequel movies. Since then, everything they've done has been within, I'll say, 10 years of um what's it called? Within 10 years of
Yes.
the original trilogy. I'll say give me a live action show set during the prequels. Give me a live action show set during the sequels. Take a chance on that. Because I think that's my big concern, is that they're not taking these chances outside of this. It's even like the first show they did was about a guy in a cool stormtrooper costume. Because that's what they marketed Boba Fett as in when they were doing episode 5. It's like, look at this cool looking guy. He looks kind of like a stormtrooper, but not really. And then,
I, I
and
don't
then,
think that's what people got from it.
oh, 100%. When they first marketed him in 1978, yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know about then.
When they marketed him in
Gosh.
1978, he was the first thing they showed,
Okay.
because they couldn't because they didn't have to cast anyone for it, because he's wearing the
Oh.
mask. So they show him off, like, look at what we have coming, and everyone's like, oh, that's a cool looking stormtrooper. And it's like, surprise, it's not.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, because
Hmm.
he was the first one. It's like there's a prototype picture of Boba Fett where the armor's all white, because they didn't decide on a color scheme yet.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pop figure based on that.
Do ya?
Yeah, it was a Walgreens exclusive, so of course I have it.
Ooh.
Yeah. But the and then the second show is gonna be, now we're gonna do Boba Fett, which is like, all right, cool, but like, can we do something else? Then the next show is Kenobi. Then the next show is Andor. Now we have more Mandalorian coming, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and even these things are still honing close to things we already know. That's why I think that, like, I mean, even Ahsoka to an extent is going to be a bigger risk. I think this year's going to be the biggest tell for the future, because Ahsoka is arguably a bigger risk because Ahsoka didn't make her live action debut until The Mandalorian, and I think to a large part of the fan base, she didn't exist before that. Because
Yes.
like the Clone Wars has a big fan base, but it's not nearly as big as the fan base that, you know.
Right, and it's a cartoon, and some people are just not into that.
Right, they should dismiss it outright. Oh, it's a kid's show. I'm not going to watch that.
Right.
Especially when you watch early that show, Ahsoka is very annoying
I agree.
before she starts to like grow into her own, and she's more of a kid. And I think that like that could be something that could be worth exploring, is what's going to happen there, what's going to happen with Skeleton Crew, which is going to, you know, take it in new directions, what's going to happen with the Acolyte, with the girl from Logan, and the girl from the Hunger Games who played Rue, as the two leads. Like, what's going to happen with that show, which is set so far in the past comparatively to where we've gone, because that's the furthest back we've gone in live action. I'm just interested to see, like, they need to expand it out that way, I think, more than, I think that outside of Star Wars, they need more offerings, because the Star Wars audience is, I don't know if you're going to grow it very much. I think I think you don't have the exponential growth. I think that what you can get is if you get good science fiction that isn't strictly this kind of soft science fantasy, you may get more people who are going to look at it with a more reverence. And it's like, I think that that's something that could, you know, attract more filmmakers. And that's the other thing, that whoever is in charge next, which is where this whole thing started, they need to take a more hands-off approach. That needs to be the new mantra going forward for the studio. Because that's been the thing that's been kind of hampering production of everything, is, by all accounts, working for Lucasfilm is an ordeal as a director.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman, was brought in to do Rogue Squadron, which is supposed to come out this year. Obviously, it's not, because they haven't finished the script yet, and they haven't cast anyone. Although I think Chris Pine is involved. That movie hasn't gotten off the ground because of how strict Lucasfilm is with what's going on. When you sign on to work for Lucasfilm, you're signing on for a 6-year job, which is untenable for a lot of people. It's like a lot of directors, you go and you direct the thing, you go on to the next thing, which is what Marvel and DC and all these other big things do. I think that, and the thing is too, it's like when you look at, like, look what happened with Solo. Solo was a failure, not just because the movie wasn't great, but because the production budget was about $500 million, because they shot the movie twice, because they shot it once with Lord and Miller, then scrapped it, then reshot it with who was it? Robert Zemeckis? No, Ron Howard from Andy Griffith.
Who was playing that? What role was he playing?
He didn't play. He was the director.
Oh.
Yeah, they shot it once with Lord and Miller, who went on to do Spider-Verse. Then about halfway through production, they were like, "We don't like what you're doing." Then they ended the production and hired Ron Howard to come in and finish the movie. But finish the movie in this case wasn't like Trank on Fantastic Four. They shot the movie again from the ground up, which ballooned the budget to 450 to 500 million. So when it only pulled 600 million, it's a colossal failure. And that's entirely because Lucasfilm hired directors who are improvisational, which doesn't mesh with what they're doing.
Okay.
And I think that that's something else they need to do. They need to get out of their own way, hire directors, I heard they hired Taika Waititi to do a movie. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that?
In the drawing room, a group of suspects gathered. The detective has solved the mystery.
Ladies and gentlemen, the butler did it.
You'll never catch me.
The butler darted to his getaway car. But what he didn't know is this is a Nissan sales event ad.
Wait, what?
And his car is no match for the detective's Nissan Rogue or its standard VC turbo engine. Save on one of your own at the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event.
Get a low $299 per month lease on Rogue. Availability is limited. Shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today. For well-qualified customers, subject to NMAC credit approval, take from new dealer stock. See dealer for financing details. $39.69 initial payment for 36 months on 2023 Rogue S all-wheel drive. Excludes tax, title, license, and $650 acquisition fee. Disposition fee due at lease end. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details. Ends 4/3/23.
On either side, if you're Taika, why would you go on to do that? Because his style doesn't mesh with Lucasfilm. And if you're Lucasfilm, why would you hire him? Because you look at his movies and you're like, these are very much improvisational. There's a lot of improv in like, Hunt for the Wilder People and what was that other one? Jojo Rabbit, and then, Love and Thunder and Ragnarok. Like,
Okay.
it's not a good mix, and I think that's something else I need to address.
Maybe they're looking to have some funny stuff.
Well, yeah, but if you're looking for funny, then there are comedic directors who work within that system. Like Adam McKay could work within the system, who did Anchorman.
Oh. Anchorman's not that funny, though.
Okay. I agree with you. His other movies are funnier, but Anchorman's the one everyone knows.
I thought Love and Thunder was funny.
He did The Big Short and Vice as well. I don't know if you like either of those.
I don't think I've seen them.
And Don't Look Up.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts?
I'm really excited to talk about Kenobi.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to make the show somewhat more because Kenobi is like if we just talk about the books and the movies and stuff, it's like we want to talk about other stuff too. So
Okay.
okay,
That's
so
fine. I just don't know anything about directors.
okay.
So all I can do is go, ooh, ah. Oh, okay. Like learn from it, that's all.
Okay, so I do have notes for Kenobi for some introductory notes. So the book was written by John Jackson Miller. It was released on August 27th, 2013, and I keep saying it's the 2006 Kenobi book because the book was announced in 2006. It wasn't released until 2013, though. It was published by Del Rey. It is a Legends book because it came out before the 2014 dismissal of everything.
Mhm.
And it takes place 19 years before the Battle of Yavin because it is almost immediately after Revenge of the Sith. Before I don't have too many notes.
It is
on
like
it.
immediately after.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on it before I have I only have a few thoughts on it.
No, do you want me to give like a recap of what happened in the book?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is when Kenobi finally takes on the persona or the name of Ben Kenobi. So he's just brought Luke to his uncle, and he is finding a place to live that's nearby. This is when he finds his cottage that you see in the first, not the first one,
A New Hope.
A New Hope, thank you. And he also he establishes himself as a hermit in the community this way in this book. So part of it is as he's going through this and trying to figure out where he's going to live, he's come in contact with this little town that's nearby, and they're having issues with sand people.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The sand people and like their tribes that are nearby, and there's a local farmer that has put together this posse to get rid of the sand people. It's all about uncovering this big old scandal that's actually happening with that fund and that group of people who are essentially trying to protect the community and, police and protect themselves against these sand people. And then it's also like a little bit of a love story between Ben and the shop owner and saving like her kids, and it's very cute and very sweet.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the book. I don't have that many notes.
Now, did you read it or did you listen to it?
I listened.
Okay. Did you listen to the version that has like music and sounds
I
and crate
think
dragon calls.
I think most of the Star Wars audiobooks include. I've never encountered a Star Wars audiobook that didn't have sound effects with it.
Okay, there are some out there, and there are
I
some
think
versions.
I think the abridged versions don't.
You think
Oh
the
no, that's not.
abridged
Oh no,
version?
that's not true. Outbound Flight had them, and Outbound Flight was definitely abridged.
Yeah, this is the abridged means like that they have the sounds and stuff, right?
No, 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 no. Abridged means that they cut the story down to fit into 2.5 hours.
Oh, no, then this is not the abridged version. This is like,
Unabridged means it's the full length and it's the entire work. Abridged
okay.
means they cut it down to fit it better onto one disc.
Okay. So I think that they did a very good job in this. Like I loved the sounds. Like sometimes in the different Star Wars movies, they use like sound effects far too often.
Hmm.
And but I think that they used like the perfect amount there, maybe like slightly too many, but like it was very immersive and it's funny and it's a Kenobi, it's about Ben Kenobi, so and Obi-Wan, so that's a funny dude. So it's cute
Yeah.
and it's funny.
I did like the short that they included, which is the very beginning. That I think they called it a prologue, but it's technically a independent short film, Incognito, which is the lone wolf and cub like story with Luke and Obi-Wan making their way there in the very beginning when he's dropping off Luke.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't think I listened to that.
It's
Or
the
I don't
story in
think
the
I
bar in the very beginning where it's the
Oh,
kid with the
yes.
baby. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Um, which is by and large what I think they were going to do for the Obi-Wan show, or well, at the time movie, when they first announced it, and then Mandalorian happened, and it's like, oh well, we can't do another one that's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they did a really great job of like building and showing what like Mos Eisley would be for just like an average person and what Tatooine is for just an average person who lives there.
I agree. I think that this should have been the roadmap they should have used for Book of Boba Fett, but they didn't.
Yeah.
This is a much more interesting world.
Hmm.
It's much more layered. I think the only thing they do better in the new establishment of the canon, in terms of building out the world of Tatooine, not in terms of Obi-Wan's story. I think this is better there too, but I think that the only thing they do better in the new continuity is I forgot my train of thought. Oh, the Tusken Raiders, building out the Tusken Raider society and making them into like I think the way that they develop them into in Book of Boba Fett is better.
You do.
I do. I like.
I kind of like the idea of them both meshed. I mean, because they talk about it in the book and about how they they were never the same. And after so like there was some sort of Jedi person or force sensitive person who had come in and become a raider and Tusken Raider, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, had come in to be a raider and had like joined all the forces of all the local stuff, which makes sense that the camp that Anakin goes in and just demolishes everybody was so big. So like there's your explanation for that. And that was like the majority of their entire population and they were never the same again. The people of this um practically just like religion because you don't really know what their uh species is or if they even have their own species.
Mhm.
They're just people who live in the sand. Um and they do talk about how they are human,
See, and
some
that's
of
the other thing
them.
too. It's like there was like going off what you said about with Anakin and dealing with Anakin's raid on the Sand People in episode 2. That was a moment that they had in this book that I wish was in the show. The moment of Obi-Wan finding out about that and having to reckon with that fact.
But I don't think he ever like ever fully he just suspects it. I don't think he ever fully
Like
knows.
I think that that's a moment that he should have to deal with, and I think that like that's something else that Like I
I
think.
feel like he can't confirm it. How could he ever know? He just
Well,
suspects.
how many people with lightsabers go to Tatooine? Apparently
Why
not
would they
very
know
many.
that?
Well, because it's like it's not like the wounds are like,
It's never mentioned. All they see is that there's all these raiders that were just demolished, and they didn't ask any questions. They were just happy that they were dead.
I guess that's true, but it's like I think that like one of the things that I want to see more of in general, not specifically within this book or anything like that, but I like to see when characters are forced to deal with the repercussions of their fuck ups. Um, and I think that like that is that's one of the like having that getting to have that moment the moment where and again I'm going back to the TV show, the moment where he is talking to Owen and he's like I'm here to protect Luke and make sure nothing happens to Luke, and Owen says like, oh, the way you protected his father. It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they just think he's dead because you fucked up and didn't save his life.
Hmm.
Like and that is like that's the kind of thing that like I think like having him deal with that would have been an interesting kind of like I think that if that was better handled, I feel like that would have been a better thing for the thing. Um,
I think he does a little bit, but there's only so much that a Jedi who's supposed to be this person who's so well developed and so at peace and at zen and knowing um that there's only so much of that they're going to deal with. And I think they do it is touched upon in the book of what he struggles with, of how he fucked up, but and how he wants to um atone and make up for what he has done, but then he can't, because the way that he has to is to stay out of the way and just be there when Luke needs him. Um and so he struggles with that hero complex of wanting to fix things.
mhm. Which I think is better for his character than what they did in the show as well.
Hmm.
By
And
a by a long shot.
one of my favorite lines in it is, or moments in it, is when the shopkeeper lady says, you better keep your hood up because that sun's gonna age you. And he's like walking away and he takes his hood down
Hmm.
and he's like, age me, son. I don't want to be me anymore.
See, but like
Like,
like that was one of the things
but he
about this
doesn't
book that
say anything. He just does it
that
so
would
silently and cool.
there are two things about this book that I didn't particularly care for. One of the things is like, have you ever seen the Rankin and Bass Santa Claus is Coming to Town special, like the stop motion animation Santa Claus is Coming to Town?
Yeah, probably.
With like it's got like the Fred Astaire is the mailman who's like telling the story of how Santa Claus became Santa Claus.
Let me see.
You've probably seen it at some point. It came out in like the 60s. Um and it's like he
Yes.
okay.
Yes, where
So
he's a ginger.
yes, so you know how the entire time through is always like, oh, that's how the reindeer fly. That's how this book felt for a good amount of it. It's like, oh, that's why he aged. Oh, that's why oh, that's why he makes that
But I thought
noise when
they
the
did a
Tusken
good
Raiders come.
job.
And it's like, there was that, and then the other thing was him trying to talk to Qui-Gon and using that like, dear diary, today I met this nice girl, and I'm
But
just like,
he is trying to, because
no, I
Qui-Gon's
know, but it's
appeared to
like
him, so he's
at
trying to get
at times
Qui-Gon
it
to
sounds like
appear.
at times it sounds like he's like, I met this night. You know what it feels like more? It feels like Dances with Wolves
But
when
he
he's
did
like,
it.
or like Avatar when it's like, I've become one with the people. I don't know what like, you know,
Yes, but he does stop. Like,
yes,
it's not through the whole book. Like, it's
it's about
I think
halfway.
they do it a good job. I think they do a good job with it, because I don't think that I found it to be the same way, because I think they made it flow, even though there was a lot of like explanation in it and like puzzle pieces that were missing. I was like, oh, aha moments. That's
Mhm.
why, like you're talking about. But I think they made it flow in a way that it doesn't detract from the story.
And I think that like the yeah, they definitely like this is definitely the superior version of what happened to Obi-Wan um during his time on Tatooine.
Yes,
This is
I
definitely the
kind of
version
feel
that
like the Leia thing ruined it, because he
because she's a
never
girl.
left. No, he just never left.
Yeah, I like that. I don't have a
He
problem with
never
him leaving.
left.
I just feel like everything that
I
happened when
do.
he left was not great. But we'll talk about
I
that when
do. I have
we
an
do that
issue with
show.
him having left, and I think that is a continuity error because they always, I don't know. But yeah, I really liked this one. I thought it was very cute. He had his cute little romance thing, but then
Oh, that was something else I
where
wanted
there
to
was
ask
a
you
moment
about.
where he was like, because he's always been a little bit of a lover. I mean, think of Ventress, and then think of the woman from Mandalore, and
Yes,
he's always been a
Satine.
romantic. Yes,
Like,
because he's a real heartthrob. And
Obi-Wan's got to get his.
yes, but I think it's very cute that he's like, I could choose this and I could have this life, but I don't really deserve it, so I'm just gonna stay off to the side. I can't
Well,
draw attention.
I think that one of the, and again, we're getting into more newer stuff, but have you read any of Claudia Gray's books that have come out recently? Master and Apprentice was one of them. She did a High Republic book as well. Master and Apprentice is Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon on a mission. But like her books have a tendency to grapple with the Jedi Code of Celibacy. Well, not grapple with, that's a wrong way of putting it. There's always a mention of like the Jedi Code of Celibacy or the Jedi Code against attachment, because the way it's portrayed is always you can't have attachments.
Hmm.
And I think her interpretation is more accurately where it's like a Jedi can fuck. A Jedi can fuck a lot.
They,
Um,
they talk about that in some of like the books. What's the one where I'm gonna call it the wrong thing? I know I am, but the ones where they go to the planet where there's all the bugs.
Find all the bugs. Was it
Yes, and the
recent or
bug
was it?
people. It's an older one, and it's not considered canon anymore.
I don't remember that one off the top of my head. But
It's great though, but they discuss it in that, and they also discuss it in the Revan and let's see, what's it called?
the the old Republic books, the what was it? Because they just did it in Master and Apprentice, where it's like there's a Jedi Master who trained with Qui-Gon, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "Look,
Yes, the Old Republic books.
yeah,
Sorry, just confirming.
confirming." But like he talks about like, oh well, we can we can have we can do this. We just can't have attachments to people, and I think that interpretation is kind of right. I just for Obi-Wan's character, he forms attachments with everyone he meets, be they platonic or be they romantic,
Hmm.
and I think that he does like the way that this relationship develops. It's not developing towards a one night stand.
Hmm.
Um, so like that's kind of like if you're gonna if he's gonna be this guy who's gonna you know be dressed like he's gonna be this Jedi like that, I think that you
Hmm.
kind of have that. That's kind of a weird choice because it's very much developed as a romantic relationship,
Yes,
not as a I'm gonna fuck this girl and move on kind of
yes.
thing. Um,
The series I was talking about is the Dark Nest. So that's something.
okay,
That's the thing that idea that like they can fucking move on is talked about in the Dark Nest a little bit. And then I want to say it happens in the Fate of the Jedi a little bit every once in a while, but
Fate of the
not too
Jedi.
often.
Is Fate of the Jedi the one that's like way early, or am I thinking? No, I'm thinking
That's
Dawn of the
way
Jedi.
late. That's way
Fate of
late.
the Jedi is okay.
That's like so it's probably not talked about too much,
It's probably
except
after New Jedi Order because at that point he's fucking
this
Mary
is
Jade on the
when
regular. He's got kids.
yes, yes, he is. And this is like when Leia and Han, they're still together in this, and um they are getting old. Everybody's getting old.
Yeah.
That's when that is Fate of the Jedi.
Okay, so that's like that'd be probably post Mara Jade's death then, I would say.
Um, it's during. I think
Okay,
she
so
dies
it's
in the
that same.
series.
It's during New Jedi Order.
I'm not there yet in my still listen through, and I had to take a break to catch up on some podcasts. So I'm still at, let me see. I think I'm still in the first Thrawn series.
You're in Heir to the Jedi or Heir to the Empire, or are you in Thrawn Ascendancy
Let
or
me see. No,
Thrawn?
because I just did Scoundrels too. So let me see. What am I
Because there are
listening?
now there are 4 Thrawn series. There's Hand of Thrawn, there's Heir to the Empire,
Okay,
there's Thrawn
so
Ascendancy, and there's Thrawn.
um I'm in Thrawn. So I just finished Allegiance, Star Wars Legends Allegiance,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna be getting in. I finished Thrawn by Timothy Zahn,
hmm
um, and
Timothy
then
Zahn uses the word fingered way too much for pushing buttons. That's all.
I agree. I agree.
Like,
Um, I went to a um convention that he was at once, so I
and you
kind of
asked him
got I
why do you
got to
finger so
meet
much?
him. No, I kind of got to meet him and say, "Hi, I really liked your book." Um, it was cool. Uh, and then I walked away because I'm awkward. And
Said, hi, you're cool. Bye.
no, I just said I liked your book. It was cool. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Uh,
Nobody knew who he was though. Like nobody was at his little table when I was out in Colorado. It was a small convention in Colorado Springs. Um and nobody was sitting there. No, like he was just by himself and he had his book up and I was and I'd walked by and I was like, "Hey, I know that book. No way, is that really Timothy Zahn?" And I went, "Hi, it's nice to meet you."
was he trying to sell a Star Wars book, or was he trying to sell one of his other books that he does outside of Star Wars?
At the time, I want to say that he only had Thrawn out, and he was working on uh uh whichever one the second one is, either Alliances or Treason.
Mhm.
Um, but only Thrawn had was out. So
Alliances is a fucking like that's one of those ones that was Galaxy's Edge tie-in books, and I was like, I'm reading this book, and I'm like, oh, so this is just to try and sell me a ticket to Disney World.
really.
The entire book takes place on Batuu, and I'm like, all right, I guess, sure, why not?
Well,
This fucking pivotal planet that no one's heard of until they opened a theme park about it.
okay. I don't know. I it's been a while since I've listened to it. So, but it's next up on my list, I think. Let me see.
That's another one where it's like they introduced this idea that they made clone armor that was lightsaber resistant, and it's like Anakin finds that, and it's like we probably shouldn't look into this at all.
Yeah.
Like the amount of things during the Clone Wars that are just like we should probably just not look into this and
Hmm.
find out why this is happening. Like the in Attack of the Clones when they're down in the arena and they're tied up to the thing, they look up at Newt Gunray who's standing next to Jango Fett, and Obi-Wan knows that Jango Fett is the base for the entire clone army, and he's not like, hey, by the way, we probably shouldn't trust these clones because the guy who's the base for the clone army is buddy buddy with the head of the fucking separatists. And
Hmm.
it's like no one thought to look into that further after that point. Like maybe they should do a book about that. Since they're
Mm.
doing all these books to retcon shit, maybe do a book about that, about like Obi-Wan trying to investigate that, and then it ultimately amounting to nothing or something stopping him from doing it.
No, that'd be boring. I don't think that
Okay.
I liked the okay. No, because that'd be boring. Like, where's the like big momentous thing at the end, right?
Well,
See, I loved the idea of just like following Kenobi through his day-to-day life and like trying to deal with his EOP.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's not boring.
Like, I want reality TV level
No, you
of
want slice of life. Like
yes. Uh,
it's
yes.
like Peter's idea for a Jurassic Park movie, where it's like it's just they run a theme park for a day, nothing bad happens.
Yes.
It's the day-to-day operations of a theme park with
Yes.
dinosaurs in it. How much
Yes.
food do they need to order?
Oh
Do
my
they
God,
have
I
to
would
feed when to
totally
feed?
watch that. Um, I think that's like something to mention about this book is that the main antagonist,
Mm-hmm.
is that the bad guy?
Yes, that's the bad guy.
Okay. The main bad guy is not the Empire.
Yes.
That that's usually the bad guy in all the new stuff. And everything now is the Empire. There's no such thing as any other kind of bad guy. And it's about the corruption of like syndicates and the corruption that can have on even like a local person, just a normal everyday person that's charismatic, like and fighting off any kind of corruption and bad deeds.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like it seems like they tried to pull from this for Book of Boba Fett. Because the
You think so?
Book of Boba Fett is not, I mean, a little bit, not really. I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize Book of Boba Fett in my head because I really did not like that show. Um, like it's telling when the best episode of your TV show is just we took a detour for 2 episodes and it's just an episode of another TV show that we know you like, and it's just like I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just like
I
I'm
wasn't
trying
the
to
biggest
rationalize
fan.
it. Um,
Um,
I don't know, and like I think that this is really the one of the last. How many more books are there that are like Tatooine oriented?
yeah.
I think it's good to get these out of the way early because I don't like Tatooine. There's a reason why when we intro the planet in the beginning, it's like this is the most boring place in the fucking universe.
Right. But
Let's leave.
this book does fill in like some of like the local lore and the local legends, and it tells you
Do they
really
mention
about
the oceans or anything in this one, or do they not
they
mention that?
they do, but they mention it through the Sand People's legends.
Right.
Um and then they talk about the two sons, I think, and they for sure talk about. But
'Cause that's the thing too we
I
have to
I
address.
think it's a
Tatooine,
really good one-off. I would not want like a
yes.
second one. I think it's a
No, I
really
don't think we
great
need that.
end tying one-off, but they don't make it um too like I said earlier, like it doesn't um I was not distracted by the aha moments. I thought they wrapped them in well.
I think I think it's also worth addressing while we're here. Tatooine is a wholesale ripoff of Arrakis
I don't know what Arrakis is.
from Dune.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is a wholesale ripoff of Arrakis down to it used to be an ocean. Um, like it is, and it was always designed to be that way too. Like even
I'm
back in
sure.
1977, like what becomes the Krayt Dragon, that giant skeleton thing that they see in the desert that we
Hmm.
now know to be the Krayt Dragon, that was meant to be a sandworm skeleton. It's meant to be an homage to Dune. And then it's like, well, fuck, we can't just have that be, can we?
Hmm.
So they made it into its own thing. Um, and I think it's an interesting kind of um what's it called? It's an interesting world, but like I think we can move away from that. Also the Krayt Dragon does have a pearl inside it, um, that can power a lightsaber.
Does it really?
Yes. I read an
Where's that
article
canon?
in the new canon. In the new
Oh,
canon, they've started establishing things that are replacements for Kyber, because the Kyber supply is limited. And what happens is the Kyber supply, well, because what happened was all the Kyber got taken for the Death Star, and then in the entirety of Ilum got turned into Starkiller Base and then got blown up. So they need more
Kyber crystal
sources.
is made from the Force, and that is the
Well,
old canon.
there are other things
And
that
there
do
are
that
only
too.
certain planets that are high in the Force that can create them, and where they can manifest. And I mean, they discuss it in like Ahsoka um and how she's able to obtain her new crystals. Um I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. I think that it was a lot more magical and interesting to think that yes, you could just go to a really uh force-filled planet, and as long as it was conducive to, you know, being able to create kyber, that only somebody that was force sensitive could obtain it.
Well, Kyber, the way they're kind of defining it is Kyber exists, and then there are other things that are also similar to it that can conduct the Force. It's just they have different like effects, and the blades look different, and
Yes, and
they
that's
aren't as
weird.
powerful. And it's like one of them creates a blade that's kind of translucent. One of them creates like an orangey blade that's kind of like a baseball bat. It doesn't cut through anything. One of them,
That's weird.
if you hit the ground with it, it creates a shockwave.
That's
Like,
weird. I'm not into this.
okay, well, get ready because I have a feeling this may play in the future and other
I think
things.
it's going to be horrible, and I think that they shouldn't have touched it.
Um, well,
That's my strong
this is
opinion on it.
See, remember how this episode started with you being like, "That's not me," about you said about The Force Awakens? That was the entire basis of your argument in The Force Awakens, was that it was good before, they shouldn't have touched it and got rid of it for a 45-minute episode.
Whatever.
I'm looking forward to getting to the sequels because that's where we get to the fun shit.
I'm
Where it's
supposed to
like,
have an opposing opinion.
I think that when we get to what's it called, when we get to the prequels and the sequel trilogy, we're gonna get a lot more just ridiculous. There's a lot more ridiculous. Actually,
Do
I
you
think
think we
when we
could
start
cover
with
2 video games in one episode? Because I feel like one episode for a video game is a lot.
I feel like we have a similar issue with books because there are so many books.
Mm.
So we might want to start doubling up unless we want to just,
We could do books and video games. Movies can do their own.
yeah, movies and shows. It shows you have a lot of content in one.
Right.
Yes, that's not a bad idea. So maybe we'll alter the schedule. We'll do because like that's the thing is too. The first 2 games we're doing are duologies.
And especially if it's going to be so like maybe if it's a book that we have opposing opinions on, we can have the whole thing,
Right.
but maybe
Or
having
like
something
major
annoying.
books, we do independent episodes. So like Heir to the Empire, we do independent episodes because there's so much in Heir to the Empire, and it is kind
I
of like
don't
the
think that's one
seminal.
that I don't think that's one that I have. But I
You
can do that.
definitely do. That's the Thrawn book, the first Thrawn book. The one that's like 5 years after
Stand by.
Return of the Jedi. That's the one with the first appearance of Thrawn. The first time they show Thrawn. This is an audio podcast, so
Heir to the Empire.
yes.
Okay, yes, I have this one. Book 1, a Thrawn trilogy.
Yes.
Okay, yes, this is where
Like
he meets like the random. Oh, this is one where he stops the outbound flight.
no, the outbound flight one is the second. Outbound flight is outbound flight. Outbound flight, it makes its first appearance in the second one because that's what he's going after. He's looking for the outbound flight project that's lost in space. Because that's what he's doing. He's like in outbound flight, they send it off, and then like we can't find it anywhere, so just send it into hyperspace in the middle of nowhere, and we'll figure it out later. And then he goes looking for it in the second one because he wants the dreadnought to help his war against the New
Heir to
Republic.
the Empire does not come before Thrawn 1 and Thrawn Alliances.
Well, Heir to the Empire is not canon.
Neither is Thrawn.
No, they are.
Those ones are. Well, they still, I can tell you now, according to Wikipedia,
Okay.
the Thrawn trilogy, where it is Thrawn, Thrawn Alliances, and Thrawn Treason. Thrawn takes place between 16 BBY and 2 BBY because it is such a
Long story.
It's a long story.
The first one is long, and then the second 2 are kind of shorter and more contained.
Yes, like it's a lot of back information. So the majority does take place in 2 BBY, and it's to set up let's see, it's to set up the next book, and that one is in 2 BBY and 1 BBY. And then Thrawn Treason occurs in 0 BBY.
Right, because it's right before Rogue One and right before.
It's literally like as it's happening.
No, because
or just before, like seconds before.
As Rogue One is happening, Thrawn is fighting on Lothal against the rebels, and he died.
That's why it's 0.
Right.
So
that's all kind of around the same time.
Yes, and then the next one that you were talking about, Heir to the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy, happens in 9 ABY.
Right, because that is not canon. That is
right, but it still happens in 9 ABY.
Right, 9 years out. Right. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So like 5 years.
I'm just letting you know. You wanted to do it in order.
No.
So
then why did we start with Kenobi if we're gonna do it in order?
I thought that was what you wanted.
No, I guess picked Kenobi because that was the most recent one I read, and you read it most recently too. That's why I picked it.
Oh my goodness! I thought we were doing this in order.
No, then why would we start with Kenobi?
I don't know, because that was what we didn't start with Kenobi.
This is the first book we did.
But I thought you wanted to do them in movie order.
The movies we're doing in order.
We're not doing these in chronological order?
No? Are
I
you
thought
just
that was the intent.
no? Because I guess picked if we're doing chronological order, we would have started with Splinter the Mind's Eye.
No, Into the Void.
Well, that's chronological order in terms of.
That is 25,793 BBY.
Well, no. If we're talking chronological order in real life in terms of release order, then Splinter the
No,
Mind's Eye.
no, in the world.
Okay, so okay, Into the Void.
Into the Void.
That will be that's the first one. No, but I think I was just going based on what I had read most recently and you had read most recently. I was like, all right, so we'll do that one first.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's a what's it called? It's a
You should release them in order.
I don't think you can do that if we're gonna do ranking, and I also don't know how that works in terms of recording with how time works kind of linearly. Like given my understanding of
Oh my gosh.
time and the fourth dimension, I don't think that works.
Okay, well, when does Battlefield occur? What year?
Battlefront?
Battlefront.
Battlefront is not it's kind of a shooter. It's kind of like an instant
When's it
action
supposed
shooter.
to occur? Who's alive? Who's doing what?
There is no story. It's a shooter. It's you pick a
Is
map and
Darth Vader in it?
yes, but everyone is well, Darth Vader's in it, but also there are
Are
prequel
there
characters.
robots in it? Are there stormtroopers? Are the stormtroopers and the
Yes,
robots
both.
the opposing team?
No, they're both. You can do both. You can play both.
As
It's
what? As the Empire?
you can play as the Empire. You can play as the Rebellion. You can play as the Confederacy. You can
Can you
play as the
play as the
Clone.
rebellion as troopers?
It takes place across the entire saga
Oh
between
my gosh.
episode 4 and episode
I'm gonna
2.
look up look it up on Wikipedia.
The I don't think there's a story in it. I like
I'm sure
I
there's not a story, but there's got to be like a time period it takes place. It's
because you're just
Battlefront,
playing
right?
the battles. You're playing the battles from the movies. You're
Battlefront 1.
playing you're playing the battles from episode 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2 because 3 didn't come out yet. And like there's a battle on Bespin. I don't remember Renvar in any of the movies, but it's there. Um, it's
Star Wars Battlefront
2004.
also contains the Battle of Jakku.
No, that's the new one.
Oh, this is the new one.
2004. The 2004 Battlefront, not the
Okay.
2015, 2016. The original is the one
Mm,
we're gonna do first. Because like what we'll do is I can lump in both of them into one episode, Battlefront and Battlefront 2, because they came out 1 year apart, and both of them were from LucasArts, and they
2014. Let's see.
no, not the 2014,
What did you
2004,
just say? 2004?
2004.
Oh my goodness. It only goes to the 14.
Yeah, hang on. Star Wars. This is great content. Star Wars
Well, you
Battlefront
talk. I'm looking it up.
2004. The one by Pandemic Studios.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I found it.
Yeah.
I found it. It's the timeline is 32 BBY to 4 BBY. It's all those battles in between.
Yeah, because technically it just covers everything.
Yeah. It's not everything though. It only goes to 32 BBY.
And
4
not everything because
BBY.
it's a PlayStation 2 game and PlayStation 2 games were limited in their technical ability.
Okay. I
But
think you could probably cover any of the Battlefront games that you wanted to talk about in the next one, so that way we can compare and contrast for game quality as well.
we can do let's do Battlefront and Battlefront 2, the first two from 04 and 05.
Okay.
Respectively. And then we'll do the other two, the EA ones from 2014, 2016, 2017, whatever those other two were. We'll do those two in a separate episode later on down the line because I don't have that to make a video on, which is kind of the deciding factor on what order we do things is what I have access to do on with my new Stream Deck, which has a button on it to record right here. I can record video from whatever game I'm playing. So I can press that and I can screen record my whatever game I'm playing, which
Oh,
is helpful for this. Um,
that sounds helpful.
yes. Sounds condescending. That's nice for you.
Ouch. Oh my
You
goodness.
just sent me the link to the article about the game that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's got some visual stuff and all the locations.
Yes,
I just
that's it.
thought that it
Yes.
was good. I just thought that it was a good reference
Yes.
material.
Save that
Yes.
in
I
email or
already
something.
saved it.
Okay.
I forwarded it to you. I bookmarked it
There
for
you go. Okay.
myself.
So now we got to do our ranking because we've gotten off the reservation a little bit.
Oh, yes, the
Let me
ranking.
let me find my ranking document. Okay, my ranking document is right here.
The Rancor
Okay.
document. I
Is
still
that
think that's funny.
is that your joke or is that
No, I really wanted to. So, like, that was one of the things that was on the table, or for me at least, was
right?
calling this the Rancor podcast because we were going to be ranking it, and I thought
See,
that was hilarious.
I didn't get that when you said that and you didn't explain it either. I was just like, what the fuck? Why did she pick that of all
Because
things?
when you say it out loud, it sounds like it's just funny.
I was reading the text
The
at work though.
Rancor. That's not my fault. It's still funny.
Okay. So, this is our first book, so this will be number one for books. So that's easy. So right now we have number one for books.
I
We
think it'll
have
stay up there for a while too. Because I genuinely, this is such an easy read and or easy listen. It might be a little boring to actually physically read it,
mhm,
because I wouldn't say that the language used is particularly
deep.
yeah. Yes. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. That so I like it's not difficult. It's probably like a third grade reading level, but it's a nice listen. I listen to it at um 1.5 speed,
Hmm. I don't
but
do that.
I do. I don't have time for that shit.
I mean, I work 8 hours a day and I have my headphone in the entire
But
day,
that's
so
how I get through the book so quick.
that'll do it.
Um and I do it while I'm working, and it's a good one to have in the background. It's cute. It every once in a while makes you chuckle. Like it's nice. It's cute.
That is all.
Yep.
Okay, so for overall ranking, we have number one, A New Hope, number two, Andor. Where would you put Kenobi?
Where would I put Kenobi?
Would you say it's
Um,
better or worse than Andor?
I think it's better than Andor.
I think you're wrong.
Okay,
I
that's
think and
fine. You're
I th
allowed
I
to.
think Andor is 100% better than this book. Like than this book. I think that it's
I
Andor
was not a
explores
big
theme.
fan of Andor.
I know. And I understand that, and everyone's entitled to be wrong once in a while. Um, but I think that Andor is just such. Andor was my favorite show of last year.
That's
Um,
funny
and I
because
went
I
into
really didn't
Andor,
like it at
and
all.
and the thing is too, I went into Andor not expecting much, and it just blew all my expectations out of the water. And then on top of that too, I thought for sure Sandman was gonna be my
Are you
series of the
sure that
year.
it wasn't just that, like, you know how, gosh, like if you're really hungry, even McDonald's tastes good. Are you sure it wasn't that?
No, because
That feeling?
I had just watched earlier that month Sandman. Like that was the same
What
month
was
Sandman came out. The
Sandman?
Neil Gaiman Sandman on Netflix.
I don't think I've seen it. Oh, Sandman.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that is good.
that came out that month, and I was like, this
Yeah,
is
but I had the
so much better.
definitely this is, yeah. No, I thought
Yeah,
Sandman was better.
I mean, I'm not saying Sandman was bad. Sandman, I think had Andor not come out, Sandor would have been my Sandman would have been my series of the
Sandman
year.
was my favorite series of them. But I did
Um,
notice that what you told me to look out for, which was that screen thing.
yes,
I
the
started to notice it and being able to tell
like when you
when
look
it
at the
was
trailer
being
for
used.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, you can see it all the time.
Do
The big
you?
sound stage, yeah. Because once you know that they're using screencraft, you're like, oh shit, you see it everywhere now.
Oh.
It's like being woken up out of the Matrix, and you're just like, oh, I see all of this. Um, But yeah, but would you okay? So you say it's better than Andor? Would you say it's better than A New Hope?
Mm, Can I rank them at the same?
So you think that it's as good as A New Hope?
No.
So you think it's
No.
below A New Hope, but above Andor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put Kenobi there. And again, at my what's it called? At my under protest. So for Legends also then it goes, but no below A
But
New Hope.
this list isn't your list. This list is my list.
Okay, yes.
I'm kidding.
I'm gonna put
Oh
next
my
to it
goodness.
under protest.
Only by you.
Well,
Um
yeah, that's half. That's half the vote.
I just meant like the rest of the populace is on my side.
The entire planet except for me. I think you're wrong on that.
Uh,
I think I'm on the right side of history here. Um, but I'll be nice. I'll let you have that. Let me look at my calendar, which
is
if
it
you
time for a
want,
joke?
well, let me look at the calendar so we can announce what it is, then we'll do the joke. Do you want to do the joke and then we'll
So
do the announcement for what's coming?
sure. But first I want to preface this with
Oh
there's
God.
this joke that the Game Grumps like there's this episode that they're playing Mario Maker or something, and Aaron just keeps making this uh this like Star Wars jokes and stuff, and he goes funny yoke, and it just makes me laugh. You should look it up.
When you said
And
I have to, when you said I
so
have a
now
joke
when
to
I
say,
go to
but I
tell
have
a
to
joke,
preface it, I was like, is it gonna be like, now I know it's not technically cool to say the N word anymore, but
no, it's just that every time because he does it in like he does it in the the way Yoda talks. So like
oh,
now when I go to tell a joke, I always want to go funny yoke, even though he did, but that's not. He just does it in the. Anyways, I can't do the Yoda voice though.
yes.
No, keep going.
Oh, I thought you had I thought that was that your joke or was that
No, I forgot my joke. I have to look it back up.
okay? So
Because
upcoming
you didn't like
episodes.
my silly ones. I gotta find a better one.
I mean, I thought that was the point of this.
So
Um,
Battlefront
yes,
has Darth Vader in it, right?
yes. You in Battlefront 2, you can play as Darth Vader. In Battlefront 1, you can get murdered by Darth Vader.
So in this, like, so you when you're playing Darth Vader, you probably get to use a lightsaber, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what does Darth Vader say after cutting someone's head off with a lightsaber?
I don't know what.
I find your lack of face disturbing.
I think the best part of that joke was the amount of setup that went into it that really wasn't necessary. Okay, so you're familiar with the character Darth Vader, right? Um, okay,
Whatever.
so
I'm trying to make them on theme for the next episode.
oh, so you're trying. Okay, well, okay, that's fair. Okay, so this week was Kenobi. That was February 1st. Next week, February 8th, is going to be both Star Wars Battlefront games, Battlefront and Battlefront 2, from 2004 2005. For reference, that was the one created by Pandemic Studios, which has been bought out by EA and no longer exists. On the 15th, we have Empire Strikes Back. On the 22nd, we have season 1 of The Bad Batch. And on the 1st, the 1st of March, we have Dooku Jedi Lost, which we may have a guest on for. Don't get too excited. It's Peter.
That's what I thought.
I'm like, it's sitting there like, did he get the guy who wrote it to come on? No, it's
No.
Peter. I showed
No,
I
no
showed
one
Peter
thought
the
that.
calendar. I showed Peter the calendar, and he's like, "Oh, I might come on for that one
For which one?
for Dooku Jedi Lost
Dooku. Oh, okay.
because he's a big Dooku fan."
Yeah, that is a good book.
So yes, that one is coming up
I listened
on
to
March
that one in
1st.
my road trip to Ohio the last time. Not Ohio, Utah.
I was gonna say who opts to take a road trip to Ohio?
I opted to take a road trip to Utah.
Yeah, but Utah has skiing and stuff
I went in the middle of the forest fires that were happening.
by
And
choice or like
oh
you're
yeah,
like, oh,
that it was in
forest
the middle
fires,
of
let's
COVID.
go.
So it was like in the middle of COVID.
Oh,
Not right in the middle. COVID had like the lockdown had ended. It'd been quite a few months, maybe like 6 months after lockdown.
hmm
And it was time for a vacation. And there was still nowhere that you could go and like stay and be safe and everything.
hmm
So and I didn't want to do like public transport, so I needed to find a place that I could drive to. So we
right.
went to Utah. And I also did not know um this is going to make me sound really stupid. Um I don't
Oh, with
care
a great
though.
preface.
Yes. So, what do you know about the Great Salt Lake?
Um, it's large and salty, and it's
Okay,
drying up.
okay, but like when you think salty, you think the ocean salty, right? Like, or what do you think? Like less salty, more salty than you would think as a lake?
Maybe I'm thinking of the Dead Sea, but I seem to recall it being like you physically can't drown in it.
You are thinking of the Dead Sea.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not
You're thinking of it extra salty.
right. Is that
Okay,
not
I
the
was
case?
not. I was not thinking that. I thought that it was going to be extra salty, but it would still be cool to swim in.
Oh no, I
It's
don't think you can
not.
swim in it.
It's disgust. You can. It's just disgusting. So
Ah,
they have things like brine shrimp and brine flies in it.
ew.
Yeah,
The word
yeah.
brine is never anything good.
Yes, I didn't know about that. So when we got there and we started to smell garbage, and I had been thinking we're going to be on jet skis all week. Um, I was,
You probably could have taken that trip to Lake George
yeah,
and had a
yeah,
similar experience, had a better experience.
probably. But I didn't. We were dying for the ocean. We were really like, and I was like, yeah, it'll just be an extra salty ocean. It'll be fine. Like,
Now here's the
it's supposed
question.
to be a really big ass lake.
Now here's the question. You're looking for the ocean. You live reasonably close to
And
the
not
coast.
anymore. I mean,
Okay.
this was when I was living in Colorado.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So I'd gone over,
Okay, that
the
makes
mountain
sense. All right.
ranges into
I
it,
was gonna say, like,
which was a beautiful
why the
drive.
fuck did you drive all the way to Utah to,
So
to
the
go to the
funny,
ocean when the Atlantic is not even arguably closer, definitely closer?
so now, okay, um, so now we've gone all the way to Utah, and we are not doing jet skis because that's disgusting. and, and then you remember that I mentioned the forest fires that were
Yes.
happening? So we went to go do some hiking and we couldn't breathe
Yes, because
because
fire
of
will
all
do that to you.
the smoke. But it looked like only a little bit hazy and we thought we would be fine. No, we weren't fine. So we spent the entire time in Provo, however the hell you're supposed to say it, and ate some good food. We like to call that our food vacation because everything else just
Went to
sucked.
shit. It was like when I went for college tours, it was me, my dad, and my grandfather went for college tours, and we went all around upstate New York, and it was like the opposite of a food tour where everywhere we ate was shit except for one place and
Oh,
an Olive Garden.
I'll tell you, like it just makes such the difference when the food's good because
Yeah,
we still look at that as though it was one of the best vacations that we've ever taken.
yeah.
And because we went on a food tour of Provo, Utah and like Salt Lake City um and the food was freaking great. Had no idea we were going into such a mecca of food. But forget about drinking because that's not happening.
Right, it's Utah. But like
Yes.
Salt Lake City, they held the Olympics there like 20 years ago, well, a little over
Oh,
20 years ago. Yeah,
we did go to the
2002.
Salt Flats and that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, like Salt Lake City is kind of like it's like Houston or like Park City or things like that, where it's like they have kind of a thriving kind of like social scene.
Hmm.
Um, but it's
But
not,
no socializing with alcohol.
well, I mean, Houston has alcohol. Um,
I'm just saying, like, Salt Lake City does not. So, like,
I feel like
it's
Salt Lake City
it's
has a pretty solid art scene too, like an art kind
they
of.
they did, and but they also have a really solid like religious culture scene.
Right.
So, like, we were gonna take in some of that because it's a little funky, um and then another thing went wrong. So the
And
um,
then other shit happened.
so like there's this huge church that's there in the middle of Salt Lake City,
Yeah, it's
and
the Mecca of the Mormons.
yes, and we were going to go check it out because you can just go in and check it out. Like, we're just going to look at the architecture of it and maybe see if we got some cool propaganda. But
It's like if you go to the Church of Satan, and I think it's in Boston or in Salem. You can
oh,
go
is
to
it?
Yeah, you can go into like the Satanist church there.
Oh, Salem Mass is on my list. I'd like to go. Um,
Well, that's
I've
close.
been, yes, I've been before, but I was pretty young, so I'd like to go again as an adult. But yeah, so that church was being renovated,
Mhm.
like all the way around. So we got to see the tips of the pointy bits at the top, and that was it. And we
Um,
just drove on.
yeah.
I fucked that trip up so hard
How is that entirely your fault?
because it was mine. It was my trip that I planned. I planned every second of it, and every second of it fucked up.
It's like
Uh,
it's
the
like
only
when
thing that worked out was the botanical garden. That's it.
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of National Lampoon's Vacation, where they drive out to Wally World and they get out there and it's closed for renovations. Except the difference was it's not the 80s, and a cursory Google search could have told you that the church was going to be renovated.
Shut up.
One final thing before we sign off. Did you see the trailer for Shazam 2?
No,
Did you watch Avatar,
the new one.
the new one?
No,
Okay, never mind then. Um, if you
but I
want something
want
to
to, so
do,
don't ruin
if
it.
you want something to do, go see Avatar so we can talk about it next week.
Okay, I do want to
Um,
watch Avatar though.
or also, 'cause I told you about
Was
this,
Avatar worth watching in theaters the way the first one was?
100%. I would say it's
Yeah.
not worth watching if you don't see it in a theater.
Oh,
Yeah, in the
okay.
same way the first one,
And
don't watch it if
should I pay for the IMAX?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
Well, okay. You don't have a Dolby screen in the entire state that you live in.
What's a what?
A Dolby screen. That's what the movie is best seen on. If you can see it in 3D, that's not
Like the
IMAX.
seasoning?
No, you're thinking of Adobo. Dolby.
Dolby.
Dolby. Dolby.
Oh, what's that?
It's a high-end screen, but the issue is IMAX screens don't do high frame rate, which means that when the movie is playing at 60 frames, it doesn't look right.
Okay.
So, and there are parts of the movie that are playing at 60 frames instead of 23, 24. So what you're better off doing is seeing the movie in 3D,
I
but
can't.
why? Oh, you get sick.
I'm wearing glasses.
Oh, yeah, see it in IMAX then. Um,
Thank you.
at that point, you're off the reservation anyway. Um,
They just don't make the glasses good enough for glasses.
um, but yeah, and the other one that I don't know if you wanted to try and be on, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania comes out, and did you see the trailer for that?
Ant-Man Quantumania?
The new Ant-Man movie that comes out in like 2 weeks.
Oh, I did see the trailer. I don't want to watch that.
Scott's gonna get fucked up in that movie.
I don't want to watch it. It looks so boring.
You don't wait, which trailer did you see? Did you see the recent one with Kang beating the fuck out of
No,
Scott for Oh, the new trailer that came out a few weeks ago.
makes you want to watch it.
It's Kang the Conqueror beating the living fuck out of Scott for 2 minutes. And I'm like,
Oh, really?
this movie better just be that for 2 hours. Because I am all here for
Oh my
that.
goodness.
Yeah, this is gonna be this movie's
Is
gonna
anywhere
end.
doing the Avatar not in 3D? Oh yes, I'm just clicking on the wrong shit. Sorry.
I would definitely recommend seeing it. If you don't see it in theater, it's not worth seeing, I don't think.
Yeah, it's
Um,
how long is it supposed to be in theater for?
they're gonna keep it in theater for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's you definitely want to see it before the 17th because the 17th is when Ant-Man comes out, and that's the first movie that's going to cut down on its screens.
Oh, okay.
Right now
Hmm.
it's already, I think it's only down to 4 screens as it is now.
Whoa, there's only 9 seats available for the showing that I was gonna go to.
Because like I'm
That's
going
crazy.
like from here, I'm going to see Women Talking, and like I go to a 17 screen theater, and they're starting to cut down on their Avatar screenings because of Academy Award movies. So like
Oh.
Avatar is down to 4 screens because they're
Hmm.
playing Women Talking, The Fabelmans, Living, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything
Okay.
Everywhere All at Once, Tar, Elvis, Top Gun
Have you
Maverick.
seen Fear?
I have not. You're the
Are
second
you
person
going
to ask.
to?
I'm not.
Okay.
I am
Have
historically a giant pussy. So I don't go see horror movies in theaters usually.
Oh my goodness. You don't like to get scared?
I do not know. I saw
Okay.
Megan begrudgingly, and that was not scary.
Oh, just creepy?
No, not even. It was a surprisingly solid science fiction movie that they tried to put some like slasher stuff in, and I was like, all right, that's, you know, if you like scary, you might like Infinity Pool.
I think there's gonna be a lot of stuff to cut out of this episode. Because we're really off topic.
Who cares?
And now I'm like talking, I now I want to talk about scary stuff.
And
So do you
now you're just sitting and looking at what's playing in your theater. Like, have you seen
yeah.
this movie?
Yeah. So I was wondering if you've also seen Missing. That's
I did
also looks
not because
is
I
that a
had
scary one?
no. It's a weird one. I didn't see it, but I saw the trailer quite a few times.
Okay.
It's a thriller about this girl whose mom goes missing, but the movie is told entirely through a computer screen. It's like a screen recording of a computer screen, the entire movie.
Oh, okay, so that's one you can watch at home.
Yeah.
Um, what
Searching was
about
pretty cool.
Plane?
Plane was not terrible. I saw Plane.
Okay. And then
If
have you seen A
anyone
Man
listening,
Called Otto?
I did see that too. That one was really good.
Was it?
I
Okay.
cried. Um,
Aww.
that if anyone wants full
Was The
thoughts on
Whale
these
good?
movies, The
I
Whale,
heard as The Whale is amazing,
The Whale
but I'm
is
probably gonna
not
watch it at home.
The Whale is not a great movie.
No,
But
because he got
Brandon Fraser's fantastic in it.
okay, so everything's so he's good, but the
He's
movie's
good, but
not.
the movie's not great around him.
Okay.
Um, if you go over to Beware of Spoilers, anyone listening, you can listen to my full thoughts on the vast majority of these movies.
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm not. It's good because it's good cross promotion.
Good plugging.
Yeah, so this works out. But it's a yeah, definitely. I would say if you haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet, definitely go see that.
I don't think it's not in the theater that I'm looking at.
I think it's on Paramount Plus,
Oh, okay. Um,
and you have
I
mine
did
if you don't
hear
have
that
it
that
already.
was good.
It is fantastic.
You can get Paramount. Oh, Paramount Plus, not just Paramount.
You have mine though.
I do?
Oh, good Lord! I put it in the document for the Christmas special we never did.
Oh, okay.
It's in the folder on Drive for the Christmas
So,
special that we never did.
okay.
But yeah, that one's good. And what was like that one is probably my favorite of the movies that came out. That was my favorite movie last year. It didn't win because me and Peter both picked The Northman and Nope in our top
Oh.
tens. That's why I asked you, like, did you see either of those movies? And then you didn't text me back for 2 days, and I was like,
And
all right,
because
I
I
guess not.
hadn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sometimes I do like 12-hour days. So by the
No,
time
I
I'm
know.
getting
Because
home, I
we
just sit down and I just
I
try not
know
to die.
he's asking me inanely about movies that came out 6 months ago.
Right. And
It's
like,
like,
and it's more like, so like I have this habit where I'll look at my phone and I'll go, "Ooh, I'll answer that in a bit because I'm in the middle of
and then you
something
put
that's
it
a little
down.
more
My
pressing." And
mom
then I
does that
just
shit.
never touch it
My
because
mom does
I
that shit, but it's important. Like 9 times out of 10, when I text you, it's not important. If I text my mom a question, it's important, and she'll do that. Where she'll like look at it and be like, "Okay, I'll answer this later," and then never text me back. And then I'll call her, and she's like, "What's the matter? Why are you calling me? What's wrong?" And it's like, "I texted you 45 minutes ago. I've been standing in Walmart waiting, dude, like for an answer, and you didn't answer me."
Oh my goodness. I wanted to tell you that speaking of scary things, do you find the Saw movies? Do you find the Saw movies scary?
I think they're more gory than scary. Like
I do too.
I can do
I
gory
love
movies.
gore movies.
Like I can do those. I guess I don't do scary as well.
I love the Saw movies more than they deserve. Um,
There's a new one this year.
I'm really excited. Um, but there's a like an escape room that's out in Las Vegas that I
I heard
totally want
about
to
that.
do. I
Did you hear about
really
the new
want to do
thing?
it.
Did you hear about the new thing Universal's doing in Vegas?
No, what are they
Ooh,
doing
I
in
get to tell you
Vegas?
two. I get to tell you this. They're Universal, who has two theme parks or three theme parks already. They have one
Hmm.
in Hollywood and then two in Orlando. They're opening
Okay,
two new theme parks.
they are.
One in Vegas that's all horror themed.
When's that opening?
I don't know. They just announced it, so it's years out at this point, but they just announced it. It's all horror in Vegas, and they're doing one that's more kid themed in Texas. So it's like DreamWorks and that kind of stuff, and
Oh
that's
my
in
gosh, I would
Texas.
love to go to the horror one in Vegas.
And they're
Oh,
opening.
it's going to become part of Area 15. So Area 15 is a new kind of area out there
I don't
in
know what that is.
Vegas. There's things like let's see. So there's like this uh, mm, there's a couple of like art installation sort of things where you can walk through them and they're warehouses.
Oh,
So
okay. We have some of that. We have a lot of that in New York.
Meow Wolf has one there. It's the Omega Mart. And then there's another one that's kind of it's like the Van Gogh exhibit, but it's
I
they
missed
do
that. I wanted to see that.
I heard it's fine. But it really depends on where you go to see it.
Hmm.
So they don't do the Van Gogh thing there, but they do that kind of like immersion thing
Right.
for they do one that's like planets, and then they do one that's like the African
Mummies.
safari. Um, and they also do one after dark where you get to drink, where it's planets, and I think that sounds really cool.
It's like
And then
they do
there's
this emergent thing for planets, and they do one for the rainforest, and then there's one with alcohol. I don't know what it is, but there's alcohol involved.
yes, but it's the planet one, so I just think it'd be so much fun to get trashed and look at the planets.
There's a Wendy's on hand, so you can go and berate the guy for not giving you a McChicken.
Yeah. And then they also have another place that's called like the distillery where
Hmm.
you can go and there's like a bunch of bars and like there's a bunch of like small uh I'm gonna use the wrong term. I want to call them
African
exhibitionist
American.
acts,
Oh,
but that's not it because that implies sexual.
yeah,
Um more like acrobatics and people with snakes and
like a
like
circus.
yeah, but like high end. And like there's small acts. But it's like high end and like a
Where
lounge.
where
And
did
it's set up like an
exhibitionists come
old
from?
smoking lounge. I don't know. Exhibits of people.
Okay, I guess.
That's a me problem. I don't know. I don't know.
Um,
I didn't know what to call it. So that's there. And then it's all kind of near like the Asian market area.
mhm.
Yep. It's a really cool new area that they've got going on. I think it'll be it's like it's definitely an artsy area. So that'll be cool.
They also opened a Nintendo World at the one in Hollywood.
Did they?
Yeah, Nintendo World's opening there.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I've seen some of the people that have gone to Nintendo World out in wherever the heck it is
Japan.
right now. Thank you. Um, and it looks cute. So I hope it's just as good.
Yeah, and they're opening an entire third theme park in Orlando.
I'm excited. I hope gosh, I love Vegas, so I'd love to go out there to just to go to that.
There'll
So
be
they want it to
liquor
be a
and scary
110
things.
square feet. Oh, sorry, 110,000 square feet, adding a 20 acre expansion to Area 15.
Yeah, the
That's
20
gonna be
acre expansion,
awesome.
I think, is what they're gonna do. Is gonna be the Universal thing, which is it's monsters, but it's Universal monsters like the old ones from like the 30s and stuff, and then also the newer ones.
Man, I love scary shit. This is gonna be awesome. I really hope this happens.
No, it's going to happen. They announced it. It's not like it's like,
But they didn't say when.
well, no, but that's the thing is they have to like building and all of that's going to take time. But they announced it. It's happening. It's just they don't know how long it's going to take or anything like that.
Okay.
In the same way they announced Epic Universe a few years ago and it's still not done yet. That's
Oh, okay.
that's the new park in Orlando. But we will wrap up there for today because I have to get over to the movie theater to see Women Talking, which will go up on Beware of Spoilers later today when I do a review of that. And tomorrow we'll be reviewing Living, which is a remake of a Kurosawa movie in English because people don't want to read subtitles. Which if you saw the Banshees of Inisherin, you probably could have benefited from subtitles. Anyway, we will wrap up there for today. So until our next episode, which will be Battlefront and Battlefront 2, have a great rest of your week.
Bye.